Hi, good afternoon. We're so glad to be here today. My name is Reverend Dr. Richard Hanna. I am the pastor of the Way Native Baptist Church. This is my wife, Joy, Deacon Joy Hanna. We are so glad to be here today to talk about marriage for just a brief moment. One of the things I want to say about marriage is, though, I believe marriage stands on two principles. From Ephesians 5:22 through 33. The first principle is, wives, submit to your own husbands in everything. And this has to do with wives submitting or giving themselves, placing themselves under the authority of another. We submit all the time. Everybody. When you go to the classroom, the students submit to the teacher. The parishioners submit to the pastor. The citizens submit to the government. So we are submitting all the time. We're not asking for the wife to do something that is really difficult, because we submit all the time. And don't forget, we all submit to Christ. Submission just means to place oneself under the authority of another and recognize the authority of the husband in her life. Husbands, on the other hand, ought to love their wives. The word love has to be to do with giving the highest good. Giving the highest good to your wife. The thing here is that if you find that as a husband that you are the taker or the receiver, you are out of God's will. We believe that we ought to love our wives as Christ loved the church and gave his life for the church. So what husbands ought to love their wives. And I believe and we believe that if we do these simple principles, that our marriages will work. One of the greatest things that God, he never left us alone, but he encouraged us with his word to make our marriages successful.
Thinking on what Pastor just said, I want to put what I feel made our marriage successful. One of the things is we married late in life. And by that time, I, as a Christian, had already been schooled or did classes on what it took to be married. And so I feel one of the ways that you can make your marriage successful is to go into marriage with understanding. As Christians, we go before, when we marry, we make a covenant between ourselves and God. Over the years, I've been reminded of the covenant between God first and then to my husband. Again, like I say, I married late, and so there are some things where a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old would bring into a marriage. I didn't have to bring that into the marriage. And so I feel if you go into a marriage with understanding, of course you go into a marriage as a Christian, it gives you the ability to endure. It gives you the ability to understand that you stand with God first. You stand beside your husband. You're a partner with your husband. But again, you are an individual. And one of the things that I took into my marriage is, to myself, I needed to be true to myself also. And there are things that you explain, nobody can change anybody. I couldn't change my husband, and my husband couldn't change me. And so I don't carry guilt when people expect you to be a certain way, because I am who I am. And so what I feel helped our marriage to survive is, number one, like I said, I met him as a mature bride. And so there are things that he didn't have to experience, because I met him as a mature bride. For those of you who are younger and who are planning to marry, I feel you should go out there and find as much information about being married as possible. For those of you who are not born again, and you're thinking about being married, I feel if you go in understanding that you're going in with a covenant between you and God first, and then you and your spouse, you will indeed not find any excuse to get a divorce. You will stay married, because it's not a bed of roses, but the Lord allows you to stay married. And so I feel as a successful in having a successful marriage, number one, you should be depending on God at all times. Even if you're not a Christian, the rules and the laws of God concerning marriage will help your marriage to succeed. Number two, to your own self, you have to be true first. And you have to understand you're not going to change him, and he probably won't change you. Try not to fit into somebody else's mold, because those pressures can cause a marriage to fall apart. So I feel those are my pointers on what caused our marriage to be successful. You've heard the pastors talk about what God requires. And as a Christian, understanding what God requires allows you to submit, allows you to let your husband take the lead. And you have to do that, understanding that God is in control. God bless.
Thank you, Joy. And I just want to close by saying, marriage is it's hard work. You have to be prepared. It's not going to work for you. It's not going to work because you want it to work. It works because you apply yourself and you allow God to use you. Me and Joy have been married for 26 years come August the 4th. We celebrate every moment of our lives together. And I say to all of you that are thinking about marriage, it is a good thing. The Word of God says that marriage, it is good for a man to be married to a woman. And so we encourage all of you to just go ahead and see the goodness of God as he established in your lives your life's partner. God bless you, and we thank you for listening today.